It settled, Congressman Huelskamp, to get it settled by August 2nd. You can't get your way. The House passed its plan. It will fail most likely tomorrow in the Senate. Then what happens? Are you willing to sit down and authorize your speaker to sit down with the President of the United States and negotiate a deal that gets you much of what you want, but not all of what you want? Or if there are any revenues in that plan, would you say, no way, I'm walking away?
Well, John, I think it's very premature to presume to know what the U.S. Senate has done. They have not taken a vote yet on this issue. They don't even have a clear plan on the table. They've got no detailed plan. The president has no detailed plan, and that's frustrating as a freshman to say, hey, we're going to negotiate with some folks that won't identify a solution. And cut, cap, and balance is the solution. It's balanced in terms it deals with the necessary spending cuts, but it does give the president his debt ceiling increase, and I think that's a reasonable balance.
You say it's a reasonable balance, and I certainly respect the promise you made to the voters when you ran on it, but we have a divided government right now. In the House of Representatives, which has passed its plan, and you like that plan, I can do the math pretty well. Our Hill reporting team can do the math pretty well. They say the votes aren't there in the Senate, and the president has said even if it cleared the Senate, he would veto that. Go ahead.
John, the thing about Congress is you got to let them vote. You got to let them vote. There are 23 U.S. senators that have said over and over in the district they support a balanced budget amendment. This is part and parcel of helping pass a balanced budget amendment. And those 23 senators, many of them up for re-election, are going to have to go home and explain to the voters why they promised one thing and delivered another. So you can do all your reporter counting, but the final vote will be on the Senate floor. And as a freshman, I look forward to them casting their first vote on this issue after months and months of discussion.
Well, we look forward to the vote, and I look forward to this debate. So here's my rough understanding of what the Speaker and the President have talked about. It would be about $3 trillion in long-term, over 10 years deficit reduction. It would have substantial cuts in the Medicare program. It would have some changes to the Social Security program. It would cause for some defense cuts, some other cuts in domestic discretionary spending. The Bush tax cuts would then expire in 2013, which is right on the books now anyway. Congress would have to act to change that. And then the Speaker and the President would have a commitment for the Congress to work on tax reform, which would go from 6 brackets, hopefully to 2 or 3 brackets, with lower rates, but tax revenues to Washington then, as a result, would come up. Congressman, to you first. You okay with that?
Well, John, we're looking for the details, and I visited with the Speaker just a couple hours ago. There is no deal. There are discussions, and it's amazing how people claim to know what's in a deal even before it's been reached and agreed to. But frankly, I agree. We need more revenue, and we do this by putting folks back to work, by letting the economy create more jobs. Instead of hammering small businesses across country, we need to encourage them. We need lower regulation. We don't need higher taxes. That's the way we get more revenue, and most Americans are very supportive of that concept. They recognize Washington is not helping create jobs. We have 9.2% of America out of work, 14 million Americans. We need them back to work. We need them quickly. We've passed multiple jobs bills through the House. They refuse to consider those in the Senate, and the president has presented a job package either. That's how we have more revenue.
So let me ask you a more important point question. You're this new Republican class. You are the reason John Boehner is the Speaker of the House. What are the conversations among you as a group? And you represent 2 very different districts, so I'm wondering if you agree on this point, in the sense that this is what we promised, this is what we're here for, and if we have to vote no, and even if the country were to go into default, and even if we were to lose our seats, is that how important it is to stand your ground here?
Well, I think what's going on here is pressure coming out of the White House. The Treasury Department picked a date of August 2nd. As far as I know, we're still kind of looking at what the actual cash flow numbers are. And we certainly don't want to have a default, but if there is a default, it would be the president's choice, in my opinion. This is the president that threatened to withhold Social Security checks just 7 days ago, and that was wrong to say that. And so we need to be honest in negotiating. We need a detailed written plan from the president. We need a detailed written plan from Senator Reid. We listened to your polling as we went in here. There was no discussion in the U.S. Senate. Where's their plan? What's their discussion? What are they going to pass? They never passed a budget in 811 days. They have no deficit or debt ceiling plan. We sent cut, cap, and balance over there. I encourage them to consider that and have a full, open, honest debate. But tax increases on job creators, on small businesses across America, that doesn't create jobs. What creates jobs? If Washington could do less regulation and unleash entrepreneurs across America, that will create more revenues. I do not believe we need to repeal what I call the Bush-Obama tax cuts. They were continued under this president. I think they should continue in the future so we can create more jobs.